Hey there folks, how you doing today? Hope all is going well for you. Please bear with any background racket that you may hear during this production. We are on location here where life happens, and sometimes there's stuff going on in the background that interferes with the production of these videos. Our newest interference is Princess. Wasn't my choice of names, but I don't get taken seriously on matters like that around here. Regardless, she lives with us now. She's here with me today. She will not leave me alone. So she's going to be our guest for the remainder of the production. Recently, but not too recently, here on the channel, I think it was about a month ago or so, I told you that next week I was going to be producing a video on either the Minute of Woodchuck Mini 14 or the Alaskan rowboat rifle. I put a poll on the channel, and of those who submitted a vote, I think it was 17 people, 9 of them wanted to see the Minute of Woodchuck Mini 14 first, so here we are. The other video will come out eventually. Now, concerning the Minute of Woodchuck Mini 14, before we go any further, this is a safe and empty weapon. No magazine in the weapon. I do have some ammunition back here, but we're not going to be handling them at the same time. The rifle is going to stay on display for the remainder of this portion of the video. For those of you who saw the original video that I did with this rifle, you may recall that among other things, the rear aperture sight was broken on it. I picked this rifle up for a very good price from the previous owner, who was the original owner. The heck are you doing? I picked this rifle up from the previous owner, who happened to be the original owner, who stated that he purchased this 188 series Mini 14 probably back in the late 90s. He said it could have been as recent as 2000 or 2001, but he said he was pretty sure it was in the late 90s when he bought this one. Judging by the serial number, that's probably pretty accurate. As I mentioned before, the rear aperture sight was broken on this rifle when I received it. I replaced it with the Tech Sight adjustable rear aperture, which is, in my opinion, a much better designed sight. We don't have any other optics for this rifle, and I do not believe we are going to be adding any. Basically, the reason for that is I wanted a good setup for training my son to shoot something other than an AR-15 with iron sights. So we came up with this one, and it's been working pretty good. I have to say that I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't find myself needing to do more to it in order to make it a good shooter. So far, I've only made one range trip with this rifle, but when I went, I fired a broad assortment of .223 caliber ammunition through it, as well as, and with the disclaimer that I'm not recommending it, we fired some .556 through it as well. So when I first took the rifle to the range with the new sight installed on it, I zeroed it with Federal 55 grain American Eagle .223 Remington full metal jacket ammunition. Again, that's what we zeroed the rifle with. You will see from the accompanying target that the rifle was zeroed, albeit the group size with that ammunition was not very good. I think we had about a 2.5 inch spread at 50 yards with the Federal American Eagle out of this rifle. The next ammunition that we tried through it was Winchester White Box .223 Remington 55 grain full metal jackets. And as you can see from the accompanying target, while the point of impact shifted, the group size was much better. We then went on to shoot some PMC Bronze .223 Remington 55 grain full metal jacket boat tail ammunition. And again, as you can see from the second row left-hand side, while the point of impact again had shifted, the group size was better than it was with the Federal American Eagle. I also fired some brass case Monarch .223 Remington. This is Serbian made, like PPU ammunition. Pretty good. And again, as you can see, second row, you're right. The group was again in similar location. Moving on to the bottom row left-hand side, the rounds fired there were these .223 Remington 55 grain pointed soft point rounds that I purchased in 2009 for $23.99. Again, folks, consider the administration those were purchased under as to the inflated price. The final group on paper, which is the bottom row, your right, was fired with some 2010 head stamp Spear Gold Dot law enforcement rounds. And again, the point of impact was pretty similar to all of the others except for the Federal American Eagle, which seems to hit a little higher than everything else. In addition to firing those groups on paper, we also fired additional rounds of each of these ammunitions at 100 and 200 yards on metal targets with varying degrees of success. They were all pretty reasonable. We also fired some XM 193s and some XM 855s through this rifle. And unless I am mistaken, the more modern Ruger Mini 14s do list in their owner's manual that you can safely fire 5.56 ammunition through those rifles. In addition to testing various types of ammunition, we also tried various magazines. I utilized a factory Ruger 5-round magazine, which for a truck gun when you're out coyote hunting, I think this is just about perfect for a rifle like this. But I do like the higher capacity magazines as well. They're just not quite as handy when you're toting it around. I also utilized some Pro Mag steel magazines. And some Pro Mag polymer magazines. They all functioned very well. And with the exception of the first round of a fully loaded polymer magazine dragging a little bit when you cycled the bolt, they all functioned properly. Now, some of you may remember that little crescent cut that I had above my eye last month. I'll see if I can find a picture of it and I'll post it up here. That came from this rifle when I was standing behind my son while he was shooting it. A piece of brass came right back, got me in the forehead, and the amount of blood involved was reminiscent of Hulkamania in the 90s. So while I could go on and on about features of the rifle, I just have to tell you that I was pleasantly surprised when I got it out to the range in its current configuration at just how really good it was as it came. I mean, certainly I had the $75 investment in the rear sight, which I really didn't want to make, but you know, I was prepared for it and I had taken it into consideration when I bought the rifle. So far, the only other change that I have made to this platform was the addition of this brown nylon sling that actually used to be on my stainless Mini 14. I had to take it off of there once I installed the Samson Industries ATM folding stock on that one. I don't think I've shown it here on the channel much. Perhaps we'll have to give it its own video someday. But regardless, I think I'm just going to leave this rifle alone. My son really likes it like it is. I enjoy shooting it. If you've never shot one of these old Mini 14s with an open sight configuration like this, it's not a tack driver, but it'll hold its own out to 100 yards, and they're really a lot of fun. Now, you can't hardly get one anymore for a reasonable price. Ruger has really gone through the roof on these things in the past 10 years. But I'm glad I was able to share with you that while there were some changes I was willing to make to it, I'm satisfied and happy to say that the rifle was not nearly the money pit that I thought it might be. So if you enjoyed today's content, you can help us out by giving us a thumbs up or leaving a comment down below. It really does help with the anti-2A algorithms here on the Tube of You. So until next time, take care. God bless.